Well, hello, folks. I just want to talk about Vaseline out of all things. Well, petroleum jelly. I had not used petroleum jelly in years because you read these articles from the health nuts, that petroleum jelly is not good, that petrolatum is not good, and I had for so long avoided it. But I was like, no matter how much coconut oil and no matter how much, of all these other oils, natural oils that are in the lotions, no matter what I did, my skin was extremely dry. And of course, we're getting older. So that's just the nature of it. I mean, I am not going to expect to look 25 at 45. I'm not going to expect to look 45 at 85. So you just have to accept that we're going to get wrinkles, we're going to get gray hair, we're going to get, we're going to, everything is going to be different. But it is what it is. It's like, would you expect to look 10 years old at 20? It's just the way it is. So be happy you're getting older and that you're alive to share, your faith with other people. So, had somebody told me just put Vaseline on your belly while you're pregnant to avoid stretch marks, I wouldn't have any stretch marks. Vaseline. If somebody would have said put lotion on first and then seal it with Vaseline, I wouldn't have any stretch marks. Something so inexpensive and so simple to avoid the stretch marks. My stretch marks are bad. Okay, even I mean, I didn't get any stretch marks with Alexander. He was a very small pregnancy, and I lost the weight immediately after I birthed him. He didn't give me stretch my belly any more than it already had been. But with Jacob, I stretched like I had triplets in me. And it happened in a situation where my belly started to grow when I did not know, how to avoid it. I was told don't scratch, but it was itching because it was dry. And to avoid your skin getting dry is just to seal it with Vaseline. I would recommend putting some lotion on first. Putting on lotion, or you can even do vitamin E on your belly. You can do something with vitamin C, or a combination. Put it on your belly and on your, areas that are prone to stretch marks for pregnancy. But even during teenage years, sometimes girls, especially if they're heavier, they'll get stretch marks on the lower back. Men too, sometimes they'll get stretch marks here, in the hip area. But it's something so simple that we just need to teach the kids. After your shower, put lotion on and then seal it with Vaseline. And then that way the moisture is trapped in there. I don't recommend sealing anything on the face, unless your face is extremely clean, like some of the dermatologists are recommending. Make sure your skin is extremely clean, and but don't scrub the heck out of it. Just make sure it's thoroughly clean. Then you don't want to seal anything like medication, that's going to be exfoliating, because then you're going to end up causing more issues. But just a humectant or a moisturizer that has none of these other extra ingredients, then I would just go ahead and put Vaseline just to seal it. But even in the hair, see, I have curly hair and my hair gets extremely frizzy, and I have tried everything under the sun, as some of you curly haired women know. Curly hair is curly hair, and then frizzy hair is frizzy, regardless of the texture or the Yeah, the texture. So, you know, you can be any race and have frizzy hair. And that in itself is, you know, just the hair just not being as healthy. But if you try putting on whatever product you put on and then putting a little bit of Vaseline, not on the scalp, but just on the ends, you know, a little bit of Vaseline on the ends, you know, that is like an easy, quick, inexpensive fix that you can, of course, it's going to build up, but you can just wash it off when you wash your hair. You know, just wash it off or use a little bit of baking soda in your shampoo and then, you know, wash it off to make sure. But anyway, folks, this whole time I was thinking, oh, Vaseline is not good for us and blah, blah, blah. But I remember using it in my youth on my lips. You know, that's all you have to do. And I was watching videos on women who are, they're calling it slugging method or whatever. There's always going to be something exciting, something new, some kind of a invention, some kind of a trick, you know. But that's what we're here for, to learn from one another and teach one another. And some of these videos are very comical. You know, the girls will make it, you know, make fun of themselves while lathering this stuff on them. But I have personally experienced, in just a few days that I've been using the Vaseline, I used to use mentholatum on my chapped lips, and that took care of it immediately. So basically, you take a Q-tip, you take your saliva and you exfoliate the lips so that you have something to bear, you know, something, you know, to hold on to the product that you're putting on. Because if you're putting the product on top of the you know, skin that's already, you know, scaly, it's not really going to get in. So exfoliate as best you can without tearing, because you know that if you tear the skin on the lips, it's going to bleed. So exfoliate as best you can with saliva and a Q-tip, or do a sugar lemon scrub, very so gently in that area. If you're using the scrub, don't use a brush. Do one or the other, but I would use something very gentle if you're using a brush. I personally recommend a sugar lemon scrub, you know, and then once in a blue moon, and then you know, you will use the saliva and the Q-tip to exfoliate the lips on a regular basis. Then you use mentholatum, or you can use the Vaseline. But anyway, I remember when I was a teenager, and I was doing the cheerleading tryouts. I did not cheer varsity football, but I did cheer for volleyball in my hometown in Panama. But it was not nearly as complex for the tryouts as it was for high school, American high school. So anyway, the trick was to put Vaseline on your lips so that when you smiled, the judges could see how shiny your teeth were. You know, so that you could just look really healthy. Oh, and another reason for doing that is so that your lips would not get stuck to your teeth when you were smiling. So it would just glide, you know. But anyway, that's a trick I learned. But I don't recommend putting Vaseline on your teeth. I recommend putting Vaseline and or mentholatum on your lips, you know, when they're chapped. Don't need this stuff, okay? I recommend it for the frizzy hair, and I recommend it for the hands to kind of seal in the lotion. You can put on lotion, seal it with Vaseline. For people who work in the hospital or in the food industry, where they're constantly washing their hands, which I'm constantly washing my hands at home anyway. So I recommend it for all ages. For, you know, I recommend it even for the babies, to keep a barrier, you know, from keeping them from getting a diaper rash. But you know, that's just me personally. If I had to do it all over again, that's what I would do, is use petroleum jelly or Vaseline on my skin to avoid stretch marks. folks, because now they're there. But just to save somebody from having to go through that pain, because it can be painful for some of us, to see, the difference before and after. But it is what it is, folks. God gave me this body, and I have to live in it, until I'm done here on earth. And I move on to better things, because being in the flesh hurts, but we should not make one another feel bad about how we're put together, So anyway, I have ugly toes, but I've been putting Vaseline on my toes, and it helps. It really does. It helps to make them look more moisturized and seal in whatever lotion I already put on them. So I recommend moisturizing, then sealing it with Vaseline. Anyway, enough about that. I want to talk about the book of Acts, Acts 10, and Peter not wanting to do what God told him to do. God said, Peter, take a look at this situation. Eat it. Kill and eat. But you have to understand, you cannot just take the word of God out of context. You cannot take the words and sometimes you cannot take it too literal. Like literally. You have to look at the whole chapter to kind of understand. Just like if you were to tell somebody, you are bad ASS, does that mean that you're telling them that they're a bad person? Or if you were to just call them bad or ASS, either one by themselves, it's not good. But if you say you are bad ASS, that means you're good at whatever it is that you're doing. So I'm not saying that God necessarily speaks to us that way, but He speaks to all. Okay? And in order for us all to understand, He has to put it in this very universal language, so that you don't have any excuse to say, well, I did not hear, or I did not understand. He does not want you to be ignorant of Him. So, in the book of Acts, Peter had a vision because God put it in him. And it was a sheet coming down by the four corners. Believe me when I tell you, I've seen that. And I have written it down, because every time I see more of whatever it is that I'm seeing, it gets more and more in detail and in depth. And it's like another piece to the puzzle. And so my comprehension and my knowledge of God is richer. Now, I'm not going to say that anyone out there does not have a much more well-rounded or a more in-depth comprehension of God. I'm not here to say that. I'm here to tell you that I'm His daughter. And as His daughter, I'm an extension of God. I'm not God. Neither are you, but you are an extension of God because you are His child. Jesus was God's child. We are God's children. And this morning, I was in a deep, deep sleep because last night I kept having these. Sometimes you just cannot help, and your brain is like dreaming while you're really not fully asleep. But I don't suffer from insomnia anymore. I don't get up in the middle of the night necessarily to, be busy. I just sleep. But if I'm not able to fall deep asleep, I just know that I'm going to end up sleeping in the next morning to catch up. This is why it's important to have a good night's sleep or a good day's sleep, because some people work at night. Some people function better at night. Remember that in the Bible it says that there's going to be no more night, no more darkness, meaning that the night is not even going to be a night, in that people are going to be functioning at night. Let me go back to what I was saying in a minute. But picture this. If half of humanity was up during the day in any particular place where they call day and night. I'm not saying that here versus the East where they have a complete different schedule. I'm talking about within the region, wherever you may be. West, East, North, South. If half of us functioned during the day and half of us functioned during the night, we would have less chaos, less traffic accidents, probably less crime, because something drives the crime. What drives the crime is like people see the opportunity, like, okay, we're gonna do it at night when it's dark and when it's quiet and everybody's asleep. That's when we're gonna break in and break the law. So, of course, you have police officers and hospital personnel and certain fast food restaurants and certain, other industries that are open 24/7, like, the intelligence community, that kind of thing. Military, etc., etc. So there are a lot of industries that are open 24/7 or functioning 24/7. However, they're like in their own secluded area. Okay? They're not going to be out in your face for obvious reasons. So, hospitals have to be functioning 24/7. Some restaurants have to be functioning 24/7 because of the people who are driving, the truck drivers, etc. They need to, gas stations, that kind of stuff. Certain places are open 24/7. So, if half of humanity because not half of it is up at night, only a minority, only a small percentage of people are up at night. Truck drivers, police officers, hospital personnel, restaurant industry, national security, that kind of thing. But the majority of people sleep at night. And I believe that if half of humanity were up, like we were on those kind of schedules, as long as it's harmonious with your family, as long as the whole family. And I got to thinking about this because Alexander's father from Brazil, his father is Brazilian, and he has a daughter in Brazil. She's all grown now, but when she was a child, and apparently this was the way it was when she was a child, I don't know about anymore, but children in Brazil are given an option to go to school, either one of 3 different schedules, either the early morning schedule, the noon schedule, or mid-morning noon, and the afternoon schedule. So his child chose to go to school early in the morning just to get it over with. And it's very similar to hospital shift, except hospital shift is 12-hour shift. And it's like morning or evening, morning or evening. Some nurses, most of the nurses apparently like and prefer that schedule because they can get it over with, be done with their whatever, 3 days a week, 4 days off, work 4 days on and three days off, like so. Get it over with and rest. Me personally, I don't like that schedule. I like to work an 8-hour shift, not a 12-hour shift. Because the way people are put together is totally different one from another. I know that I cannot be working a 12-hour shift and still be sharp. So there are shifts for certain hospitals. I don't know if that's the way it is anymore, but that's the way it used to be, where nursing staff and their assistants would work 8-hour shift. So we had 3 shifts: morning, afternoon, and evening. But some of the nurses and even doctors preferred that the nurses would be working the 12-hour shifts because you have a continuity of care. It's so much easier for the evening shift nurse to communicate to the morning shift nurse for those 3 or 4 days that they were going to be working consecutively, which is about the length of time that the patients are in the hospital. Not all of them, but most of the time. So the evening shift nurse reports to the morning shift nurse. The morning shift nurse reports back to the evening shift nurse, and it's those 2 nurses taking turns to take care of those patients, either 3 or 4 days for that week. So most people prefer that schedule for these reasons. I didn't like that schedule because, so in the military, after about 3 months of day shift, of doing 3 days on, 4 days off, 4 days on, 3 days off, and so on and so forth, you would go to evening shift. And I was all discombobulated, jet lagged. I don't like it. I can't do it. So I'm one of those people that because I see visions, I have to sleep in a little bit more sometimes. So he told Peter, get up, and because he was aware that Peter saw his vision, because God made sure that Peter saw the vision. God gave him a vision to see. So he could not say, no, I didn't see it. Because God knows all. God knows that Peter saw the vision. And Peter was given the keys to the kingdom. But Peter was also called Satan because Jesus said, you don't have the interest of God in mind. You have the interest of the world, of mankind, of men. So that's why he was called Satan. And Satan is what? The Antichrist, right? Anti means against Christ. And who is Jesus? We are the body of Jesus. What part of the body are you? We are the parts of the body. Different, yet equally important. So, the Bible is written in a very universal way. So it is not fair for some people to say, well, we're going to take the Gospel of Paul, which is most of the New Testament, and say, well, we're not going to add, these other texts that certain churches use because that's just not the gospel. Now I'm here to tell you that in the Bible it says very clearly, be wise as serpents and innocent as doves. I'm going to send you out like sheep in the midst of wolves. And who is the wolf? Benjamin. Benjamin means son of the right, son of the south. He's the last son of Jacob. All Israel will be saved. We are the 4 living creatures, and the Lamb and God himself, which is the Spirit, God is Spirit, is in our midst. So some of us are in the midst of the wolves, okay? We are the body of Christ. The wolf will live with the lamb. Can you live without your heart? No. And here, because it says God will be here, okay, in the midst of you. So we need to put these things together. And if you're taking books out of the Bible because you think that it doesn't go with the tone of the rest of the gospel, it doesn't sound like something Jesus may have said, just listen to yourself. Listen to your own self. You're going to have the different tones for different people. You're going to have a tone of voice with your audience. You're going to have a tone of voice with your partner. You're going to have a tone of voice when you're upset. You're going to have a tone of voice when you're happy. You're going to have a tone of voice. Do you think Jesus was always pleased with the people or even his disciples? No. He told his disciples at one point, he's like, I'm finding you sleeping. I'm finding you, just like sleeping. And that was Peter. Okay? So all right. So this sheet was coming down and Peter had no excuse to say, no, I didn't see it, because God knows he saw it because God put it in him. Okay, and he was given the keys to the kingdom. So that's why Paul was also, he had to be converted, because Father God knew that Paul had the skills to help Peter get it done. Because Peter needed somebody like Paul to say, let me finish it. Let me complete this. Let me get this done. Paul fought in Ephesus with wild beasts. And Ephesus is the first. Joseph, Ephraim. The last will be the first. The firstborn son, Jeremiah 31. Okay. And Joseph and Ephraim are a bull. Joseph is a majestic bull, and Ephraim is a wild, bull that had to be righted, that had to return to God. Okay, he's the firstborn. So we're talking about Gentiles, the bull, the ox, the Lion of Judah. The son is Benjamin, son of the right, son of the south, because we're down here understanding. We're standing like the Son of Man, but we are understanding, okay, before we're lifted. So Peter did not want to do it. He's like, I'm not doing it. That's filthy. And he said, kill and eat. And that's because, everything has been made, has been cleaned. And we're made in the image of God. So, because I am a balanced cookie, I have always desired balance in my life. Always desired. And I lose my balance sometimes, like physically. Like sometimes I get up and I lose my balance a little bit. So I need to exercise to correct that. Exercise helps me strengthen my bones, strengthen my muscles, strengthen my self-esteem, and everything just functions better. And I need to go exercise, and I know it. You know, I will do it. I will do it. I have a gym membership. I will do it for my own health. It's a good investment. I feel that most of the people at the gym are very young. I mean, these could be my children, you know, most of the people. And, but I did see some people who were mature at some of the classes, the Zumba classes, and, you know, but I think that we need more diversity at the gym as far as age. We need to see older people coming to the gym because, you know, everybody benefits from the gym. You know, of course, everybody wants to go to the gym and see the hot young people. That's great, you know, but older people need to come to the gym to strengthen their bones and their joints and their muscles and their self-esteem, you know. And I just need a buddy to help me motivate, at least to get me started, you know. But I'm gonna have to be my own buddy. I'm gonna have to motivate myself from within me because God is with me, you know, and God is with you. So if you feel like me, like, oh, I want to go to the gym, but I don't have anybody to go with, and I'm embarrassed, and I'm, you know, whatever. Like when I started working out back in the early 2000s, when I was working out back in the days, I got down on my knees and I prayed to God to help me because that was not my weight. That was not my health issues. Those were not mine. I just felt like I was loaded with stuff that was not mine. I needed to purge. So I got down on my knees and I prayed about it. And my Papa God put it in me to go running. Okay? Within the week, I was jogging. Within the week. In fact, I was so out of shape that the older gentleman who was always running around the track, he was an older gentleman, but he was fit. Okay? He's one of those people that you see on television, like a model of a mature person. He was very tall and slender, but it wasn't his height or his weight. It was the fact that he had been running for his whole life. He was a professional runner. And I always thought, oh, I would love to be able to, you know, to run next to him one day because I looked up to him. And one day, you know, I got up to him and we started having a conversation. And I learned a lot from him. He was just the nicest fella. And he said, yeah, I've been doing this my whole life, you know, and it just kept him healthy and happy. You know, not everybody can run. Not everybody, you know, has that desire. But whatever it is that you want to do, I think we need to do what we're called to do. That makes us happy. So, I did catch up to him. I mean, I did not do it to you know, to be better than anybody. No, I just wanted to meet him and learn from him, like, what is it that you know, how do you do this? You know, come out here at 5 o'clock in the morning. It was early in the morning when he was the only one out there running. And but I decided to go out there one day, and then that's how I saw him. But I would always be way behind him. I mean, he'd go around and around, and I was still, you know. But one day I caught up to him, and I had a conversation with him as we were jogging, because at first it was hard for me to jog and talk. But you know, and then I saw him at the gym later on at the World Gym, and you know, say hello to each other, and that was nice camaraderie. I like to have gym buddies like that. And my friend Lee Stone, he was a teacher at the high school, and he is very intelligent man, and very tall, very slender as well. But he told me that his body had not changed since he graduated high school, and he showed me a photo of himself. Of course, he had changed, but his body hadn't changed much, is what he meant, because he kept in shape. He kept running, and he started going to the YMCA, and he is the one who told me about the World Gym. When I was looking for him at the YMCA one day, I said, "Hey, where have you been? I haven't seen you at the YMCA," because that's where I started out. And he's like, "Well, I'm over here at the World Gym. You should come join and come see me over here." So I joined the World Gym, and it was fabulous. It was wonderful. It's the best investment. So I recommend that if you have a little bit of money, invest it in the gym. Not alcohol, not drugs, not cigarettes. And it's like, I'm sorry that the cigarette industry, I mean, what is the point? What is the point of me being politically correct? What's going to happen is these folks are going to say, "Look, we don't like this lady because she's speaking negatively about our industry." But on the carton, it says that it causes cancer. They've had to print it out per the attorney, the general, and they had to print it out there by law. I remember when that happened, and I just thought that made sense, that they should have done that from the very beginning. Now, another thing that you have all these lawsuits from people who are suing the tobacco industry, and it's like, what is the point of suing the tobacco industry if you chose to smoke? I believe for this reason that all buildings should have always been smoke-free from the very beginning. No indoor smoke. Because if you're going to be suing anybody, it shouldn't be the tobacco industry. It should be the businesses that allow indoor smoke. And when you have no choice as an employee, it just doesn't make any sense. So to me, tobacco industry, I mean, there are benefits to smoking. If you need to have a cigarette versus shooting somebody, I recommend you sit down and smoke that cigarette, and think about it. So that's what I say. Okay? If you want to pollute your own lungs, go for it. If that calms your nerves down. But indoor smoke is not good for everybody else. So I don't mind speaking like this because I can, because I'm speaking from my heart. People need what they need, and I need to be the mother of my child. I have always desired to be a mom. When this happened to me in Mississippi, when my son was taken from me in Mississippi, I suffered. I suffered tremendously. I did not want to leave this country without my son. I couldn't. And I thought for a minute, what if I go what if I become a stewardess, a flight attendant? I could make a lot of money, but I don't think I would have made a good flight attendant at all, because you have to be there at that airport on time. You have to be there on time. God forbid if you're not on time, because you're just fired. Can't do it. This is why I wanted to have my own restaurant, because you don't ever hear of the owner of the business being fired because they're late. See, my Papa God made me just the way I am. This is why I wanted to have my own restaurant. And if somebody's late, you have to plan ahead, okay? You have to plan ahead. You ask people, are you normally late for work? Well, yeah. It's like, be honest. You're not going to get disqualified. I just want to know. Because obviously that person has a need to either sleep in, or they have time management issues, or they just have issues, or maybe they're just special people that, have a timing issue. Some people are like that. Just like when babies are supposed to be born on a certain time, and then they're born early or they're born late. Okay? Jacob did not want to come out. He was comfy up there. He was comfy in the womb, and he was 2 days late. Okay? My water ruptured, and they actually had to come and get him out because I just wasn't dilating. And he was experiencing stress, so they had to get him out. Okay? But Jacob was 2 days late. And Alexander had to be taken out a week early. My poor baby. I did not want to take him out early, but I was hoping to deliver him naturally. But they took him out early because they didn't want me to go into labor and rupture my uterus. And I thought, how could my uterus rupture 11 years later? It just doesn't make sense. They said, but it can happen. It can happen. So we don't want you to go into labor. But I think that, I don't know. I just wish that I could have delivered my babies naturally. I felt like a failure when I didn't deliver Jacob naturally. And I felt that I should have been able to at least try with Alexander. I didn't want to take him out of the oven early. No. But it is what it is, folks. So, timing. My mom said that I was supposed to be born in November, and I was born in October. I don't know. Because I was born October 1st. If I was supposed to be born in November, that's a big difference. So I don't know. I think that I was well due on time because I was 8 pounds, 5 ounces. I was a full baby. So I doubt that I was supposed to be born in November. So anyway, I was a very big baby, okay? Big. And my first word was food. And in Spanish, that's 3 syllables. Comida. So if I said comida first, that's because I like to eat. And I like to drink coffee. And I like the restaurant business. Now I thought to myself, if I have a restaurant, okay, I'm not going to discriminate against people who are here illegally. No, I'll just give them their legal right to work here. That way, nobody's doing anything illegal. And if they do marijuana at home, I don't want to know. I'm not going to be testing people for marijuana because in the food industry, like probably 90% of people, okay, are going to be testing positive for marijuana. Maybe 75%. But over 50% in this industry. So, I don't care what you do at home. Just don't bring it here to buy, sell. Don't bring it here to share. Don't even talk about it. Okay? Whatever you do in the privacy of your privacy, that's your privacy. Okay? I'm not going to be testing anybody, but don't show up drunk or stoned. Because we're dealing with equipment here that's dangerous. It's dangerous for yourself, and it's dangerous for the patrons, and dangerous for everybody involved, the co-workers. So we need you sober and alert. The body of Christ needs everybody sober and alert. Yes, because we are the body. Moving forward. Woo! Yes. That's why Jesus told Peter, Peter, get behind me, Satan. You didn't want to get it done. And Paul is like, don't worry, Peter, I'll help you. We'll get it done. But don't be taking books out of the Bible Okay, because there are different versions of the Bible and there are different books. So if we're gonna understand that Paul had a certain tone, but that is not all of the gospel. And if you look at it this way, okay, there's some books that are taken out of the Bible because we, the church, we don't like what it says. That does not sound like something Jesus would say. And it just sounds like, just not good. No, this is not what we want to teach the children. So, in the Bible, it does say you have to be wise as serpents and innocent as doves. I'm sending you out in the midst of wolves. Or I'm sending you out in the midst of wolves. Don't you think that at a certain age, when it's age appropriate to teach these children those other books that were not in the Bible but that are out there, that they should at least know what they're up against? Because some churches do have these books that are not in the Bible, and they may be like sheep in the midst of wolves, but they have to be wise as serpents and innocent as doves. So they can be innocent as doves and wise as serpents, so they know what they're up against. It's like, well, I already know that other book that you read. You know that they took it out of the Bible here, but I already know that book's already read it. Kids have a right to know what's been written. Okay? Because otherwise, we're always going to have this fight. If God tells us, I'm going to send you out like sheep, like lamb, in the midst of wolves, okay? It's like, you need to be prepared because he's telling you be wise as serpents. So you've got to know what you're up against. Just like in football, it's like the coach, it's like, you do this, you do this, you do that, you do this. And the coach has got it all figured out. And that other coach, they've been studying you slow motion. When you fall, they watch you slow motion, right? They already know your very move, these coaches. They know exactly how this particular player moves and what they excel at and what their weaknesses are, and they know this guy. So the coaches always have to be on top of their game, always like changing it up a little bit so the other one doesn't know, but you've got to know what you're up against, right? Because I'm going to tell you something. I have my little baskets all ready for Easter. Yes, I'm excited. I have 4, but in here I have 3 because this is Alexander's. Alexander plays sports. He likes to play mostly soccer, and he loves basketball. He loves basketball and soccer and baseball, and he didn't really care for football all that much, but that's just because most Latin people have a tendency to prefer soccer, and that's because when you're short and you're fast, that's better for soccer. Okay? So, we have 2 baskets here. Hold on. So, I got these art supplies. I went to the store the other day and I thought to myself, I could spend so much money at this $5 store, it's not even funny. Like everything they had was quality. Everything they had was quality, and everything they had was worthwhile for a very reasonable price. Not everything was reasonably priced. Some of the food items were not, but they specialize in toys and, you know, games and that kind of thing for the children, and seasonal stuff. So I was like, I don't want to spend more than a certain amount of money here, because this is just, you know, for the children, and I need to save my money. So I got 2 little identical baskets for the girls, and I got them the same amount of candy, but then I got 1 big thing of paint. If I had put all of that paint in 1 basket, I would have had no room for candy. So I had to separate the paint so that they both have equal amount of paint, but the paint is different, because the kit came with pastels and the primary colors. So I separated. One child's going to get the primary colors, the other one's going to get the pastels. Eventually, they're going to mix it and match, and everybody's going to share, and it doesn't matter which basket has what, but they're going to know that, hey, you are equally important. Different, yet equally important. So I know Natalie likes mermaid kind of stuff, you know, and so there's little brushes in here. But this is not just for Natalie. This is for Natalie to say, oh, look, Amelia, I have these brushes. Look how fun with little glitter in them, you know? And eventually, and there's a lot of brushes, eventually, it doesn't matter who's going to hold which ones in their hand, because they're all different. All of these brushes are different. And so eventually they're going to share all these brushes, and they're going to put them in this little caddy, and this little caddy is going to be for holding their brushes that they both use. So this is actually for both of them. It just so happened to be in one of the baskets. So this is Amelia's basket, and this has this little pop thing, you like popping bubble wrap, okay? You can use it and reuse it and never have to throw it away. I think it's fun for when you're fiddling, you know, little busy people, and you can create different things here. You can switch it over and start over again. This is washable. It is something that, you know, they can share, and, you know, it doesn't matter who ends up playing with it, because they're going to share it. Then we've got little candies, same amount of candy in both baskets. Okay, the same, but they are no artificial colors and flavors, okay? So they both have 1 thing of Play-Doh. One has pink and one has orange. So eventually, one of them is going to say, hey, can I have some of your orange? Because I only have pink, and I want to make a pizza with pepperoni on it. And the other one's going to say, yeah, I want to make, you know, a little face, and I need pink to, you know, for contrast, because it's only logical, right? So United States and any other nation in the world or this earth does not have all of the resources, and you know it, okay? We cannot possibly be completely independent, and we know that. We know that, okay? So the children love to read, and they love to paint, and they love to share, and they love diversity. Don't teach the children racism. That's the ugliest thing you can teach them. Okay, so they both have bubble, and I know Natalie likes purple. That's her favorite color. And I know Amelia likes pink, and that's probably her favorite color. But they're both the same. They're just different color. Okay? So that's that. I couldn't possibly put all the paint in one because, you know, they just need to share the paint so they can paint on their paper. And I cannot fit this whole thing in their basket. This is too big to fit in the basket. So they are going to share this book. The pages are perforated. They can tear the page, and each one can have their little space where they can draw and paint, you know, and end up putting it on grandma's refrigerator. That's just beautiful. You know that with my children, I frame their artwork. I frame their artwork, whether it's writing or painting or drawing. I like to frame it. I like to go to Hobby Lobby, and I like to go to TJ Maxx, and I like to go to Michael's and Kirkland's and Walmart and all of these places where I can purchase a frame to frame their artwork and display it on my wall. That makes me happy. It makes me feel good about who I am and about what I am doing. It gives me a sense of pride, but not an arrogant pride. Just, hey, I am a mom. These are my children. This is worth framing. I will share my photos with you. That's how Papa God feels about his children. We are so little. We are so little in our little bitty planet. And we are extensions of God. Because we are made in his image, which is none. Because God is not white or black. He is in us. And we're made in his image. So, you want to know what God looks like? We are made in his image. And we have all the different colors, okay? So, he wants us to come together and paint and restore what we have destroyed with our wars. Because Peter did not want to do it, Paul had to help him. Okay? Paul and Peter met and they exchanged. They had a conversation. And our children need to know that, hey, there are books out there. Don't keep them from reading them when it's the appropriate time. You've got to teach them, hey, there are wolves out there, because we are wolves, all of us, with the lamb inside. Okay? We have to understand that there are some who are wolves in sheep clothing, and there are some who are sheep in wolves' clothing. So, remember, we went up, 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 and into he, and he into us simultaneously. Eventually, we'll be able to see that those who look like wolves really have a lamb inside. And they're just trying to live in this world that's corrupt and cold. But God makes everything new. And the meek shall inherit the earth. But we have to be strong and courageous and stand like the Son of Man before being lifted, so that we can go into his womb and grow and develop before being born of God, so that the meek can inherit the earth. But we have to be strong and courageous first. So that's what I wanted to say to you. That we need balance. That petroleum jelly is not bad, but we can use a natural lotion underneath as the first layer, and then seal it with the Vaseline to protect, to keep it in there, to keep us from losing water, and from keeping the water to get in there. And but anyway, you know how that works. Creates that layer of protection, and it really does work for chapped skin. So anyway, balance is good. Balance between the natural and petroleum jelly is not natural, but people say, well, this is bad, 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 everything's bad. Of course everything is bad, but we've gotta live, right? So let us recognize what is realistic here. What is realistic? So we've got to look at the whole situation. What is realistic, what is balanced, and just like Eastern and Western medicine come together to make it better. Okay. Oh, thank you.